questions can either be from the Fiqh class just now or even from the Kalam class in the first hour. So feel free to ask if you have any questions.
Shaykh, assalamu alaikum. You know, when it comes to khums, you have some maraji who will say that khums is obligatory on gifts, whilst others say gifts are not part or is not subject to khums. What's the thinking behind this, would you say?
So, because the main thing is ghanima, what we understand from ghanima. وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا غَنِمْتُمْ. Our Sunni brothers have understood ghanima as war booties, ghanimatul harb. We say ghanima means any profit you make. Then they have to discuss whether this includes gift, or gift is not something that you have work to get it. And we have to see gift falls under that or not, or is there anything to exclude gift, any authentic hadith or not. So they have different views. Some say no gift. Some say if it is normal, doesn't need khums, but if it is, for example, something not expected, becomes like ghanima. Like all of a sudden they tell you, you have, for example, even for earth, a relative that you didn't know has died and you received 10 million pounds. You didn't expect such a thing. You didn't know you have such a... So you have to give khums for this, for example. So it's a matter of how much we are able to bring the concept of ghanima into these cases. And sometimes there are hadiths that maybe one marja says this hadith is not authentic, someone says it's authentic, or says the dalala is not clear. So, yes.
Assalamu alaikum. I've got a question on bankruptcy.
Yes.
If you're in a partnership with your fellow Muslims or fellow Shias and it fails, and the other two partners or three partners cannot meet the debt of a bank or whatever, whereas one partner has already paid his share to the bank. So the others who failed, the debt is still on their shoulders, or we have to engage a faqih to relieve them from these debts?
The debt remains.
Forever?
Yeah. The debt remains. The only thing is that would faqih take over control our remaining properties that they have to settle these things, or he can carry on and himself.
Right, so the question too would be on that, is if the other partners have what assets, personal assets, does it mean that they're obliged to now involve the faqih, or how does it work out? And perhaps the property, a house, could not be sold because the family lives there. So how is the debt eventually settled in the lifetime?
If I owe people as a person, because sometimes maybe it is a company and it's a limited whatever, that we have to discuss separately. But if I have borrowed some money from someone, this is my debt. Even if I have to sell my home, I have to clear. But that person is recommended to be flexible, lenient with me. If he says that I don't really have money, to give me time. Yeah? So one of the things which is very important is to not put pressure on someone who is not able to pay back. But also, matalul ghaniyya zulmun, the one who can give back money back and doesn't give, delays, this is also zulm. So, in any case, you cannot run away from this. Even if you have only one house, you have to somehow please that person.
Okay, in this Western world, the banks are the ones who pull the plug on you, right? So they won't wait for the debt to be unsettled.
Yeah.
They'll just demand, and if you just file bankruptcy on yourself, then it's done and dusted. In this country.
You mean to declare yourself as bankrupt so that you keep your house?
Yes, you can still keep the house, but you have to file, or they put you into bankruptcy. And if there is a property which they can grab, they'll grab it.
Yeah.
Now, can I continue with the same question, but in a limited company? The company goes bankrupt. Under the legislation, right, in the capitalist countries, the company is bankrupt, and the bank or an HMRC or Inland Revenue are owed money. They know the company is bust now. In that case, legally and officially speaking, you are exempt because they've written it off. But morally and spiritually, do you still owe that money?
Yeah.
Or not? Or we can say this, the rule of the country is, and we're following the rule of the country. How does it work?
Yeah. This is not a kind of, because someone, during the election campaign was said he has done this many times. And many people, because of that, have lost their jobs, money, everything. And in defense, this is a legal provision. We can do this. This is not, I think, a legal provision that you say, okay, I do business, then I declare myself as bankrupt, then I don't need to pay back, and then I start again. Of course, you have to check with marja, because marja can different views. But it seems to me that when you undertake a debt, you have to pay it back. Even if that person cannot legally come and claim your home, you are in debt still. Maybe that person, the law doesn't give him any help to come forward. But this doesn't mean that you have no responsibility.
Thank you. I know there's questions from the gents. I just want to see if there's any ladies who have any questions.
Especially when we read our hadith about mu'min, we find that one of the most fundamental qualities of mu'min is ada'ul amana. A mu'min may sometimes make some mistakes, but one of the things mu'min would never do is to break his promise, to lie, and to betray with amana. Yes.
Any questions from the sister side?
This is to do with Kitab al-Wuquf. So if someone gives a waqf, so for example, does a waqf to the mosque, and tells that this is, specifically used for this purpose, are they allowed to use for something else? For example, he gave money specifically to be used for a certain thing, and then, like sometimes what happens in the kitchen, they decide, okay, we've got this, so let me use it for this. They can't do that. It's khasbi, isn't it? Because someone has...
Yes, money is not waqf. Money is donation.
Yes.
Because waqf is something that remains.
Okay.
For example, I make a waqf, for example, some pots.
Yeah.
We say dig, that people can cook. I say this is waqf for this masjid.
Yes.
Then they cannot do anything else which is against this waqf.
Yes.
And if a time comes that they are not going to use it at all, they need permission from mujtahid.
Okay.
That we are no longer cooking with this, for example, What should we do? In the past, we had in Iran samovar.
Yes.
And people made waqf to Masjid Husseiniya. But now they don't use samovar. What should we do? Can we sell it? No. You have to take permission from mujtahid, so that maybe he says either to give it to someone to use it for the same purpose, or you can sell it and use it again over there.
So what about books? Like somebody has donated books specifically for
Yes.
mosque?
It should be for the same reason.
So then no one can take
No.
it, yeah? Thank you.
If someone has given, for example, turba to be used here, I cannot take that turba out and use it in hospital and say I bring it back, for example. It has to be kept here.
Awesome. Thank you. We'll just end with one last question for today.
Shukran. Brother opened up a big can of questions around bankruptcy and debt and limited companies and so on. The concept that I think is important to distinguish in UK law is that in certain cases a company becomes the person taking on the debt rather than the individual. Where in our Islamic fiqh do we consider the role of non-human entities in terms of contracts and so on? Is this discussed, and if so, where before we? And then I'm sure there'll be many other questions that arise from that, but time doesn't allow.
Yeah, as I said, this is for a person. But if it is a legal property, like a company, then here there is a chance for faqih to say that that person from the beginning did this business with this property, not with me. And this property, legal property, this company is responsible. And this company should do its best to give back. But if the company dies, for example, I am alive. But here there is a room for fiqh to say this is different. You have to check the marja. But there is a room in fiqh to say we distinguish between haqiqi and huquqi. I as a person am responsible for all my debts. But if it's a company that I work or I own, but as a limited company, that can be different. But you cannot plan it in that way, that instead of saying I don't give you back, you put people in the trap and do this.
Thank you very much. I think we'll bring that to a close. Good news is that, alhamdulillah, this week we have a double session. So if you're following the dates, tomorrow we have our next session. Please do attend and encourage everybody else to attend. Inshallah, these lessons are all following each other. So it would be good to attend all of them, inshallah.
Altogether, 4 sessions are remaining, yes? Tomorrow?
Yes, 4 more after today, inshallah.
Yes.
So thank you very much. Thank you once again, Sheikh, for your time in teaching us. Just before we end, if we can ask Sheikh maybe to recite a dua and we can follow you in dua, inshallah.
نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم بالقرآن المستحكم بفاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها يا الله 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 يا رحمن يا رحيم يا أرحم الراحمين يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك واكفنا يا قاضي الحاجات ويا كافي المهمات إنك على كل شيء قدير. Oh Allah, please send the best of salutations to Muhammad and all Muhammad. Please send your rahmah and maghfirah to all mu'mineen and mu'minat who have passed away, especially to the people who have rights upon us. Please bless our parents who are alive with healthy and dignified life, and those who have passed away, please be very generous and forgiving with them, and please them with us. Please give long life to our maraja and ulama and volunteers and elderly members of the community. Please keep us and our children and our brothers and sisters always on the right path, very determined, very strong, very confident, very hopeful, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.